All right, so what's going on, guys? I'm back with another installation video, and this time we're gonna be installing some CNC Racing rear sets. So typically, I don't really put anything on the bike for the most part that's not functional, but being that I've been doing more and more track riding, I've been learning more about track riding, how to handle the bike on the track, and I've come across something that I found to be a bit of a hindrance on the track. Because of my height, I'm 5'7". When I'm leaning off one side of the bike, my outside leg, I'm having a problem reaching the peg with my foot and getting a nice firm foot down on the peg. So hopefully, I'm hoping that with the adjustable rear sets, I can bring my peg up just a little bit higher so I can get my foot nicely planted on the outside peg when I'm leaning off the inside of the bike. If it wasn't for track riding, I probably wouldn't have spent the money on this. I think the stock ones are perfectly fine if you're a street rider. I don't have any problems with them other than that. The grip feels fine to me for street riding. So like I said, strictly for track riding is the only reason I'm putting these on. And I went with these because they seem to have the most adjustability and also the ease of getting replacement parts in case, you know, I ever damage one. So I think these are pretty good buy, pretty good quality, right out of Italy. Not the cheapest, but also not the most expensive. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the install. All right, so real quick before we get into it, you can see they come separated in left and right. You have your box of hardware here, and then all the individual pieces separated out. These are the RPS, I believe. So they have the foldable brake and shifter foot pegs, and they have the carbon fiber footrest. All right, so let's go ahead, jump on into it. Okay, so I do have the bike up on paddock stands, just, you know, to lift it up a little higher for me so I don't have to get too low on the ground, but you don't need them. If you have a motorcycle lift, that'll be even better. I don't have one, so, you know, I just put those on just to get them a little bit higher off the ground. The first thing I'm gonna do is go ahead and take off both of the both side bottom fairings, just so I can have the clearest access to both rear sets without scratching up my fairings. So we'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so the right side is the more difficult side. So I'm actually gonna disassemble everything, and I'm gonna actually take off the entire rear set assembly, just because it's easier to get in there with the 959. With the 1299, you don't have the swing arm in the way on this side, so you can get behind there a lot easier with your tools. But with this one, for you 959 guys, you gotta take the entire bracket off. So we're gonna start with that, just disassemble everything, and let's go ahead and tackle this. Just gonna use 2 ratchets just for speed. Take off the footrest first. Go ahead and crack these loose. Unstrap this. All right, so that's free. So now I'm gonna go ahead and take off the assembly. I believe it's a 6. All right, so this one I'm gonna get up in there with a round hex head. See if that makes it easier. I don't want to strip the bolt. All right, that assembly is ready to come off. Okay, brake is out, so now we have to take off the brake light switch, which I believe is 10 millimeter. Now the good thing about the CNC Racing rear sets is it reuses the stock brake light switch, so you don't have to mess with your banjo bolt here. So that's one of the other things that drew me to these over the other brands. Spin this around just to, so I don't twist the wire too much. All right, the brake light switch is out. We got the whole assembly off. So now I'm gonna go ahead and put this into a vise and just get the rear set off the bracket so I can put the bracket back on the bike and put the CNC parts on it. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so I'm back from the vise. I got some of it taken apart. Just gotta finish taking out the bracket here. All right, so that's off. This is gonna go back on. So these bolts are just gonna go back in with no Loctite or anything because they use grease. You could probably use the recommended Ducati grease if you want, but I'm just gonna put them back in. I think it'll be fine. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and tighten these two to 25 Newton meters using the shortest extension possible. Okay, so this bolt is at only 8 Newton meters, so let's get that torque wrench out. All right, so at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and start doing a little bit of cleanup over here, get the tools out the way, and get ready to install the CNC rear set. Okay, so this kit comes with a hell of a lot of hardware, so I laid it all out and separated it piece by piece just to make it a little bit more digestible. Let's go ahead and get in it. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna put on is the bracket, and I am gonna use some synthetic moly grease on these two bolts as the shop manual states. And then we're also gonna mount the brake master cylinder to here as well. And just put a little bit of grease on the threads. Torque this down to 25 Newton meters as well. I'm gonna take 2 bolts and 2 lock nuts. Just gonna snug these up too. I'm not gonna go crazy with torque specs. Just be careful you don't kill it when you tighten them, because you don't want these bolts to strip or snap. Just nice and snug is all you need. And as usual with things from foreign countries, the instructions are terrible. It doesn't really give you any order in which to install the parts in. So you kind of gotta use your head in which order to put this stuff together in. So obviously you wanna work from the back of the rear set out. So I'm thinking the next thing I want to do is work with the brake light switch and the master cylinder plunger. So let's figure that out. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and start putting this thing together piece by piece. Okay, so this is gonna go to this with 2 lock washers, no Loctite, and these will just slide in there like that when you adjust this. I'll snug them down later, just want to get them in there for now. I'm gonna put the peg on, put some blue Loctite on this. All these bolts that you have to put Loctite on in this kit call for medium, so we're just gonna use the blue. All right, snug, and you can see this folds. This will go here like that. Okay, so I'm gonna put this piece on the brake light switch. Just screw it on there. That'll get attached to the back of the rear set. So I have this piece, and this is gonna be the button, or we're gonna be what pushes the button for the brake light switch when you hit the brake pedal. So I'm gonna go ahead, put a little bit of grease on that, just so this doesn't seize down in the hole there. Right. Put that on. Put some blue Loctite on this. I have to put the master cylinder plunger on first. So we'll put a little bit of grease on there. I'm gonna grab this piece here. This is gonna go on here. All right, got that on there. Got the master cylinder plunger here. Gonna put grease on the threads as well as on the plunger itself. Once I install it, okay. So that'll go up in there. This spring will go on like that. Okay, so we got that on there, and it rotates like there, nice and smooth. The bearing is amazing. It's almost like it's floating on air. It's crazy. So now I guess I'll attach the brake light switch to the back of here. So this needs to be under here first before you. Okay, so now that we got this down here, this should be able to go right up in the master cylinder. We'll set that later when the actual rear brake engages. So for now, I'm just gonna put some grease on that rear plunger. Go ahead and put my spring on here. And then I'm going to grab 2 bolts, put some blue Loctite on them. All right, so they don't give you any torque specs. So I'm just gonna torque those down to 25 Newton meters just like everything else. But before I do that, I'm going to try to adjust this rear brake. I wanted to engage way earlier than that. So I'm gonna crack that nut loose on the back and figure out how I can turn the plunger. Thinking maybe some diagonal pliers might work to get in between the spring. All right, so I got this adjusted pretty tight, so I can still spin the wheel pretty easy, and it's minimal effort to stop it. See that? So of course I'm gonna road test it to make sure it's not too tight where my wheel will be locking up and everything, but I went ahead and tightened the bolt down back there. Now I'm gonna go ahead and torque these to 25 Newton meters. Let me just go ahead and test out the brake light. All right, so that needs to be adjusted. You gotta push pretty hard to get the brake light to come on. So basically I'm just pressing down on it and tightening the adjuster screw. Okay, so now the only thing that's left to put on is the peg and the footrest. I believe, shit. So according to the manufacturer, the OEM foot placement is about here. Somewhere about here. So I think I might go up here. If I go here, I gotta take the whole damn thing apart again, so I think I'm gonna try here. So in order to use this hole, you gotta separate the lever from this. I'm not doing all that. I'm just gonna put it on the top. Put some blue Loctite on there. Hey, this shit doesn't fit right. So I gotta modify the holes on this because it don't line up. Okay, so as you can see, I had to elongate this hole right here just so this thing could fit right and the bolt holes can line up correctly. Not for nothing, but carbon fiber costs too goddamn much to not fit correctly, man, to have to modify it. I think if you wanted to upgrade the regular footrest to carbon fiber, I think them shits are like $100 for these two little things. And then you gotta do this, modify them for it to fit. It's actually not too bad, actually. I don't know. Okay, so this side is done. You can see, as of right now, I have it so that they fold. You can install these little pins if you want to lock them in place to keep it more rigid. But I think for now, I'm just gonna leave it like that and jump on to the other side so I can be done with this already. All right, let's go. Now we just gotta take the bolt off the shifter somehow. All right, so that's all the way off. Now I'm gonna open up the rest of this and try to make sense of it. Let's go. Okay, so first I'm gonna start with putting the bracket on, just like the other side. A little bit of grease on the bolt. right, and this bolt has a spacer that takes up that space. 25 Newton meters again. This one I'm just gonna have to snug it. I can't torque this one because the swing arm is in the way. All right, that's good. So just like the other side, I'm gonna put some grease in this bushing, just so it doesn't seize up in there. Like I said before, all the bolts that require Loctite, it's just regular medium strength Loctite. So I'm using blue for everything. So there's another bushing here. Put some grease on this one too. And that'll just make it so this bushing doesn't get stuck in the bearing if I ever need to disassemble it for any reason. With these rear sets, they come with the option to do GP shift. I think I'm gonna try it out. Alright, so this piece goes together like that. Alright, so this is going to connect to there. So I'm going to have to pull off the stock shifter. So I'm taking out the stock shift rod, holding it the top part with a 17, and taking the other part out with a 12. And this is the difference between the two. You can see the one they give you is a lot shorter than the stock one. Alright, so I'm just using an 8mm wrench to tighten up the shift rod. Okay, so I got it all back together and I have it set up in GP shift. You see right now it's in neutral. Let's test out the shifting to make sure it shifts. I'm gonna go up. Now we in gear 1. Can't go up any further. Go down a little bit. Gear 2. Back to neutral. Back to 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, neutral. So I think I'm just gonna adjust this. This looks like a little bit too far. Go ahead and put the carbon fiber piece back on, then I'm done. I'm gonna leave the fairings off for now because I still need to road test it and see if I need to take it back apart and make any more adjustments. So for now, I'm just gonna put the carbon fiber on and call it a night. And this one looks like it might fit properly. And of course not, gotta trim it. All right, so we all done now. I'm gonna just go ahead and torque down these 3 main bolts to 25 Newton meters and we done. Okay, so before I go, I can tell you right off the bat, these are a lot more aggressive. Prior to installing these, I could not get my leg up in the groove of the tank here. You can see right now, it's right there on both sides effortlessly, you know, with sneakers on. So I'm sure with my riding boots, it'll be even easier. I don't think it's gonna be that comfortable for the street, so I'm probably gonna have to adjust them back down when I'm riding on the street. But I'm hoping this works pretty well on the track. Yeah, this is good. My knee's right where I want it to be, right up underneath the tank pad. All right, so just wanted to show you guys that real quick. Okay, so that's the end of this install. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope it helped somebody out because I couldn't find a single video on the internet about how to install these. So I apologize if I was like experimenting on video. It's just the instructions were lame and my first time doing it, and there, like I said, there's no videos on it. So this is probably the first one that exists. So like I said, I hope if you guys are looking to get these, this video helps you out. Got any questions, drop a comment down in the comment box and I'll try to get back to you guys. I'm tired as hell. I got quite a bit of mess to clean up, so hopefully tomorrow I'll get to go for a road test and, you know, try the settings out, and then I'll just make any baseline adjustments that I feel I need to make. But I think once I go to the track next week is when I'm going to really dive into the settings and getting it dialed into where I want. So for now, that's it. I'm gonna check you guys on the next one. Peace.